In my last video on the Mexican Marines, I talked about their origins and evolution, the nature of their cooperation with the United States, their high-level force structure, and why they're perceived as one of the most trusted institutions in the fight against the cartels. This long-awaited part 2 is going to cover the organization of the Mexican Marine Infantry Battalion down to the squad level from around 2022. The weapons and vehicles included in their TO&Es, the unique details about their rank structure, and some extra details I was able to get by talking to a Mexican Marine. First, what exactly is a Mexican Marine Battalion? As I talked about in my previous video, Mexico has 45 of their standard Marine battalions, or BIMs. In addition to the Parachute Marine Battalion or BIM-FUSPAR, 4 similar amphibious infantry battalions under 2 amphibious brigades, and other formations. Battalions consist of 628 Marines at full strength, although are usually under strength. They're split into 3 rifle companies, a support weapons company, services company, and battalion staff. The elementary piece of combat power is the rifle squad. But first, this video is sponsored by Private Internet Access. I think we all know what a VPN does by now. You click a button and websites think you're from a different country or state. That's pretty useful if you're like me and needed to access certain bank accounts when traveling, but even more useful if you like watching whatever movie or show you want. Streaming services restrict what you can watch based on where you're located, and stuff gets taken off of services all the time. Different companies have different deals in different places. Personally, I don't want to have to pay for a new streamer every time a publisher decides to make their own. Luckily, Private Internet Access allows you to change your IP address to one of 91 countries or all 50 US states, so you can pick just one. For example, if you have Netflix in the US, you can't watch Inglourious Basterds, but as of right now, if you flip over to Australia, you can. There's a whole community of people keeping track of which countries have which shows, so you can have fun with it. PIA also obscures your browsing from third parties like your government or ISP. They never record or store user data, and their no logs policy has been proven multiple times in court and by a third-party audit from Deloitte. And you can protect an unlimited number of devices at once on any platform, which is great if you're in a relationship or have a family. Go to piavpn.com/battleorder to get 83% off private internet access plus 4 months free. That's like $2.03 a month, or like what, 6 eggs? And those eggs aren't giving you PIA's 30-day money-back guarantee and 24/7 customer support. But back to the Mexican Marine Rifle Squad. In Mexico, the squad or section echelon is called a Platoon. While this literally translates as platoon, I'll just use the American equivalent to minimize confusion. The Mexican Marine Rifle Squad consists of 13 Marines. By the TO&E, they're commanded by a second master, their most senior NCO rank, although the lower third master is also realistic. The squad is split into 3 identical fire teams, called escuadras in Mexican terms. Officially, these are commanded by a third master, with 1 corporal and 2 seamen. Which billet ranks what has changed over time, although today it's likely that the team leader pulls double duty as a grenadier, an optional machine gunner would be a corporal or a senior seaman, and the rest would be a rifleman. I'm told by one Mexican Marine it's common for everyone to be a rifleman in practice due to the nature of patrolling amongst civilians. Nearly everyone nowadays should be armed with the new SIG 516 Patrol, which comes in 10.5-inch and 14.5-inch barrel lengths. This replaced the M16 and M4 in the Marines. Officially, the shorter 10.5-inch barrel variant is for officers, so the conventional squad should have all 14.5 inchers. The 10.5-inch variant seems to be more common in commando units though. Since at least 2022, Mexico has fielded a chunky mount for the M203 grenade launcher on the SIG 516. However, early on in the transition, the M16A2 was retained by the Grenadier. Although I'm told that the use of grenade launchers is kind of rare due to concerns with collateral damage during law enforcement missions. They're generally reserved for conventional missions or perhaps riot control. The machine gunner is authorized both a rifle and a light machine gun. The machine gunner also getting a rifle is very common in Mexican TO&Es. This means that they can act as a rifleman if required, but you definitely see footage of Mexican medium machine gunners slinging both at once. In the Mexican Marines case, I'm told that they often just hold the LMGs in the weapons company for normal patrolling. The traditional Marine LMG is the Colt Automatic Rifle RO750, a version of the M16A2 intended for the squad automatic weapon role. It's distinctive for its square handguard, muzzle-mounted bipod, vertical foregrip, and heavy barrel. While it's intended to be used with 100-round beta CMAGs doctrinally, they've also been seen with regular 30-rounders. Truly the US Marine Corps incarnate. While you do see RO-750s in footage from time to time, the newer Colt IAR 6940 started to replace it around 2010. However, it's possible these were prioritized for the special operations units and amphibious brigades initially. A battalion also has 24 MGL multiple grenade launchers, enough to give most rifle squads one. The battalion has as many shotguns for riot control. 3 squads make a platoon, called a sección in Mexico. The platoon HQ includes a commander ranking corvette lieutenant by the book, equivalent to an army lieutenant. They'd be assisted by a second in command ranking first master or guardia marina by the book, and 1 or 2 radio operators ranking private. While not in the TO&Es I've seen, I'm also told there's usually an additional second master to act as a platoon adjutant, who's focused more on administration. A quick digression, the second in command is interesting. They're templated as junior officers equivalent to a second lieutenant, but this is basically 2 ranks in 1. The first type are guardia marinas or midshipmen. They're graduates of the Naval Academy and have an unlimited career path as line officers up to admiral. After graduating, they take up a sort of probationary status to learn the ropes, posted as a second in command or assistant under another officer. After 1 year, they take a professional exam, and if they pass, they're promoted to corvette lieutenant, from which point they take command of a platoon. Sometimes they'll be forced to take command of a platoon immediately due to shortages, although this isn't ideal. First masters, on the other hand, are either corps officers in a service branch, technical officers, or NCOs that have been promoted by merit. The latter green to gold types are more relevant in the Marines. This is called a non-professional scale, which means they came in as a seaman, worked their way up through the NCO grades, took a short officer course lasting a few months, and got a commission. Unlike the midshipmen who are unlimited in career progression, the non-professional and technical officers respectively have a rank ceiling of ship of the line lieutenant, the most senior company grade officer, or corvette captain, the junior most field grade. Also, unlike the Guardia Marina, instead of waiting 1 year for promotion to corvette lieutenant, first masters in the Marines wait at least 3 years by law. Initially, first masters and midshipmen do basically the same jobs, although in terms of respect, it's basically like comparing a master sergeant to a butter bar. As they go through their career though, the academy graduates, being younger and of that prestigious pedigree, will take command of most line companies and all battalions. The enlisted route officers often serve in positions like battalion adjutant, which is like a sergeant major, or commands that are less physically demanding like in service companies. All this is to say, Marine battalions have almost double the officers of an Army infantry battalion despite being a similar size. But back to the platoon HQ, all enlisted members are authorized the full-length version of the SIG 516, but the battalion's 58 officers, including the first masters, are authorized 3 weapons in theory. The shorter version of the SIG 516, a SIG MPX submachine gun, and a 9mm pistol. There are multiple pistol models in service, but the Marines have been spotted with SIG SP 2022s within the past few years. It's noted that the MPX is for personal defense in close quarter situations. The pistol is for personal defense and when officers fulfill their Coast Guard functions, conduct inspections, and escort government officials. Most of the time you'd see them with SIG 516s though. The next level up, a rifle company consists of 3 platoons and a command group. The command group has traditionally had a commander and deputy commander as officers. In terms of rank, the TO&E standard is a ship-of-the-line lieutenant as commander and a frigate lieutenant as second in command. These are equivalent to captain first and second class respectively in the Army, but after looking at about 20 letters from within the Marines, which conveniently list chain of command, within that sample it seems commanders were often a frigate lieutenant, corvette lieutenant, or even a first master, equivalent to Army lieutenants. This is likely due to the Marines' recent 15 battalion expansion. The commander would be assisted by an adjutant, a first sergeant equivalent ranking first master, as well as 2 scout observers, one ranking third master or corporal, and one ranking corporal or private. This might vary in practice though. 3 rifle companies form the core of the Marine battalion. They're supported by a weapons company, which is structured similarly but with some specialist weaponry. This company has a command group notionally identical to the rifle company, a machine gun platoon, mortar platoon, and a rocket launcher platoon. Each platoon has 3 squads, which in turn each have 4 teams, for a total of 12 weapons teams per platoon. The machine gun platoon is doctrinally armed with the 7.62x51 version of the FN Mini-Me. I'm told that the Marines are less uniform in weapons than the Army though, so units have also been spotted with M16E6s, FN mags, Colt automatic rifles, and even the old HK-21 in this role. The rocket launcher platoon has 12 launchers according to the TO&E. By all accounts, these should be Israeli B-300s, ancestor to the SMAW. And lastly, the mortar platoon has 12 60mm commando mortars and 12 M29 81mm mortars. They're presumably meant to task organize. Maybe some squads take 60mm to directly support companies, while there are 81mm in general support of the battalion. Logistically, the battalion is sustained by a service company. It consists of a command group, weapons and munitions platoon, quartermaster platoon, transport and maintenance platoon, food platoon, and communication platoon. Note that in some cases, these platoons are quite small. The more you research this stuff, the more you realize in many cases echelon names are very vibes-based. In theory, each platoon should be led by a corvette lieutenant. Unlike the rest of the battalion, this is staffed by non-Marines, largely from the Naval Administration and Quartermaster Service, and some from the Naval Communications Service, although the commander, second-in-command, and weapons officer should be from the Marine branch, but this isn't always true. To briefly touch on the battalion HQ, its commander is a ship-of-the-line captain equivalent to a colonel. A frigate captain equivalent to a lieutenant colonel acts as second-in-command and battalion chief of staff. The staff include a personnel and logistics section, or S14, and the operations and intelligence section, or S23. Each staff is headed by a corvette captain equivalent to a major. Beyond this structure, there's an allotment of vehicles and vehicle-mounted heavy weapons available to the battalion. For example, 54 double-cab pickup trucks are available, either Chevrolet Cheyennes, Ford F-150s, or Dodge Ram 2500s. That's more or less enough to fill all 4 combat companies, so you might as well call this a light motorized battalion. The battalion also has 6 up-armored Humvees and 3 light-armored tactical vehicles, generally armored builds based on a Ford Super Duty chassis. The battalion has an assortment of heavy weapons that can be mounted, including 4 M134 7.62 miniguns, 12 M2 Browning 50 cal machine guns, 12 Singaporean CIS-40 AGL automatic grenade launchers, and 12 Barrett 50 cal anti-materiel rifles. Mexico likes to mount Barretts on vehicles, which is why I'm mentioning it here, but they could of course dismount them. Other operational vehicles include 3 Razor Pro XP4 all-terrain vehicles and 6 quad bikes, mainly for patrolling beaches and trails. There are also 11 commando-type trucks, basically larger 4x2s like a Freightliner for administrative moves and a resupply, as well as 4 Unimogs for moving troops across difficult terrain, although Mexico probably doesn't actually have enough Unimogs to give every battalion 4 of them. In terms of pure sustainment, the battalion also has a refrigerated 4x2 truck, 2 Chevy Silverado 3500 type trucks with fencing in the back for cargo transport, and 2 field kitchens which at 7 meters long looks more commercial than those dinky trailers. It's meant to feed disaster-stricken areas among other things, so it probably needs more throughput. It does bear mentioning that the Mexican Marines technically have some BTRs in service. About 30 civilianized Irtish BTR-60s were purchased over 20 years ago from Ukraine to replace the Spanish Pegaso VAP 3550-1 amphibious cargo vehicle. These are BTR-60PBs civilianized as repair and recovery vehicles. The Mexicans call it the APC-70, but it's not a BTR-70. Unlike a regular BTR-60PB, it lacks a turret, although support weapons such as a 40mm automatic grenade launcher or medium machine gun can be mounted on a pintle. However, they would be confined entirely to their 2 amphibious assault support battalions, and I'm told in practice they're not really operational due to maintenance problems with foreign providers. Most of the photos you see online of it are fairly old. In reality, they're more likely to use small boats, helicopters, and other landing craft for insertions. Learn more about the Mexican military with this playlist on nothing but Mexico, from their motorized cavalry to clapped out mechanized regiments to a history of their Marine Corps. I'll see you over there.